By 1930, there were enough high schools in the county that the joint activity of the county and city boards could be severed. The city board began to pay the county for their share of the high school building and Wright Hall. Coach Hatcher's football team was undefeated in 1935 and 36 and lost only one game in 37. One member of the team was Charles Wesley Dutch Ishmael, who was All-State, attended UK, and later played for the Detroit Lions. Mr. Oliver was honored by his peers by being elected president of the Kentucky Educational Association in 1938. The original school for Negro students burned, and the Perry A. Klein School was built by the WPA on land donated by John Bill Tribbett's great-grandfather. In 1954, the Supreme Court decision, Brown v. Brown, ended segregated schools. The first black high school students attended PHS in 1957, and as soon as space was available, the elementary students came to Chloe, and Perry A. Klein closed in 1967. These teams were all coached by Cat Hatcher. Here his assistant was John Scott. Note the team mascot, Tootsie, Cat's Bulldog. For a while, the B teams were called the Bulldogs. 1943 ushers in the era of John Bill Trivett, a local boy who played under UK's Adolph Rupp and came home to coach 17 years, during which he had 14 district championships, 7 15th region championships, and a total of 442 wins. In 1947, the two wooden buildings, the gymnasium and the early elementary building, burned. Mr. Oliver and Coach Trivett immediately began planning for a new gymnasium with a seating capacity of 3,000. The dedication of the new gym was in 1949. Unfortunately, Mr. Oliver died months before the building was completed, so the gym was named the T.W. Oliver Memorial Gymnasium. The first game was against Lesher Norton's Clark County Cardinals, with Pikeville winning 54-46. In spite of the many successes of Coach Trivett's teams, he never won the state tournament. In the 57 season, Pikeville was ranked first or second the entire year. But when they went to the tournament, they lost to Lafayette. However, they came back to defeat Russell County to take third in the state. Part of the loss was probably due to the 57 flood, which destroyed the gym floor. All year, the team and coaching staff, 20 in all, traveled in 3 cars wherever there was a floor where they could practice or play. The 57 flood was the worst disaster in Pikeville history. The Big Sandy crested at 56 feet, 18 feet above flood stage. Water was 4 feet in the gym, over the tops of the first floor windows in the elementary building, and to the bottom of chairs in the high school building. Unbelievably, school resumed 3 weeks after the flood. The class of 57 had no yearbook, no senior trip, no prom, and no state tourney win. The Trivett era ended in 1960 when both John Bill and Charlie Deaton, football coach, resigned to open a sporting goods store. Another outstanding educator, Charles Spears, came to Pikeville as principal in 1959. Our system lost our accreditation by the Southern Association of Schools and Colleges because of crowding in the junior high. Mr. Spears, determined that that would be rectified, led the drive to build the new elementary building on Chloe Creek, which was dedicated in 1967. The school regained our accreditation in 1970 and retains it to this day. both elementary and high school. The first principal of the new elementary building was Ivan McDaniels, Mr. Mack, who was followed by Chester Bailey, who served from 1971 until 1994 for 24 years, certainly one of Pikeville's most beloved leaders. Our system seems to be cursed by fire. In the summer of 1969, our fine gym was utterly destroyed. Citizens watched with tears in their eyes while the sight of ball games, dances, and graduations burned to the ground, destroying trophies, band uniforms, instruments. The cause of the fire was never determined. The next year, a metal building was erected as a practice gym. Because the metal was blue, it was christened the Blue Goose. In 1976, PHS was poised for a new era. When Mr. Spears retired, his assistant, Mr. John Waddell, became the new superintendent, and Tom Swartz was the principal. The school body moved to their new building. The new year, which began with such high hopes, began to go downhill. On November the 28th, a system which had already lost 2 gyms and an elementary building to fire was again struck when the old junior high building on Scott Avenue burned to the ground. Then January brought snow after snow, necessitating dismissing school for almost half the month. As Mr. Waddell asked himself what else could possibly go wrong, the rains came. In spite of Fish Trap Dam, Pikeville was flooded once again, with the water cresting at 51.9 feet. The new high school building, which had been in use only 7 months, had 5 1/2 feet of muddy water on the first floor. The elementary building, which was spared, became the headquarters for the National Guard, which was sent to help Pikeville citizens dig out. Once again, the mountain spirit prevailed, and school resumed after only 14 days. And so the years and the decades march on. In 1987, the PHS Sports Hall of Fame inducted its first members. In 1988, the Alumni Association was formed and began holding reunions. Since 1990, the association has honored our most distinguished graduates. Willard Howard brought his brand of football to Pikeville, and his teams won 3 consecutive Class A championships in 1987, 88, and 89, and even earned a write-up in People magazine. In 1987, the girls' varsity cheerleaders won first place in Kentucky and 3rd in the nation. In 1990, our legislature passed the Kentucky Educational Reform Act, which impacted every school in the Commonwealth and put Kentucky in the forefront of educational reform in the nation. In 1995, a new 1,000-seat auditorium and a junior high addition were constructed. In 2006, a new administration building named for longtime Superintendent John Waddell was dedicated. In 2007, the Maroon and White Room, a museum and resource center dedicated to preserving our school's history, was opened. To our knowledge, Pikeville is the only school in Kentucky with such a facility. And so our school has endured for 95 years, and Lord willing, in 5 more years we will celebrate our 100th anniversary. We have seen individual and collective triumph and tragedy, and we have been true to the dreams of our founders to improve our area through public education. We have been blessed to have citizens who support our system and to have had administrators, faculty, staff, and students who strive for excellence. Let's hope we will all be back in 2015.